is very, very nice. And there we go. Bam, we are recording. We are live. Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday. We know what that means. It's Triumph Tuesday. We're going to talk about all your little triumphs, big, small, it doesn't matter. Good morning, everyone. This is Carol Sue, aka Naughty Boss, Lady Canna, published author with two
Sistas, and good morning, everyone. My name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0. Excuse me, Triumph Tuesday. And what are you triumphing over, even in the face of adversity? For me this morning, it was waking up at 2:15 with a monstrous neck headache. Ooh, where it just kind of threw my whole morning off. And needless to say, there was no medical way I could have possibly went to kickboxing this morning. So, but with that in mind, what am I going to triumph over? I am still going to get in my workout. Not sure what I'm going to do yet. I think some of it was attributed to rowing a couple times this past weekend. So I'll be doing some power walking and maybe even a gentler power walk. But what are you going to do today to triumph over maybe something that maybe didn't go your way, or you, excuse me, you worked through that adversity? And before I forget, I do want to say a very happy birthday to our cousin Ralphie. Yikes, he's getting up there in age, but he certainly doesn't look it.
No, he doesn't. And I love the fact that him and Sal are out there, still really sharing their passion of music with others. The combination of the two of them and their voices just really puts you in the automatic mood. And he's just one of those, he has one of those spirits about him that he does so much for everyone. Always cheerful, always looking at the, kind of life in such a positive vibe, and he shares that with not only his audience, with his family, with his grandchildren, and certainly with his cousins. So we wish Ralphie a happy birthday. I don't know if it's a milestone birthday. I don't think so. But
no, I think I want to say is 63, because he's about 3 to 4 years older than I am.
Right. So no, I don't think he's 63, because I think I'm older than he is, but I don't know, maybe he is. I can't remember. I think he's 62. But I don't know. He may not even be that, for all we know. But anywho, it doesn't matter his age, because like you said, he doesn't look it, and his vitality and how he presents himself always is very youthful and very inspiring. You really want to get up and move and dance. So happy birthday, Ralphie. So yes, it is Triumph Tuesday. And, we often talk about different triumphs that we don't celebrate and pat ourselves on the back that we did a good job, because we overlook them. We're the first person that we overlook. If you want to look in your life, you're usually, for most people, are there for somebody else, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your child, your grandchild, your friendships. And we have a tendency to celebrate them first before we celebrate ourselves. And part of health and wellness is contributing to your own happy health and wellness. Now, how do you do that? You actually celebrate your wins. Now, when we talk about wins and triumphs, they're not always these monumental things, but they're a necessary piece to get to that bigger goal, right? So if you have to modify something, that's a win, because that told yourself, I didn't quit. I just have to modify what I'm doing because I've got an injury, because of my schedule, because of, appointments, or, someone else in my family, their schedule. So we're really showing that the importance of celebrating yourself, your wins, really help you achieve to bigger dreams, bigger goals. So for me this weekend, what did I triumph over? Kind of a crazy schedule. Now, why would you say did you triumph over that? Because women are the all-time jugglers. We're not clowns, but we are jugglers. We're a juggling act. We're always manifesting different things and multitasking in different ways to make our lives better, to make our family lives better. And a lot of times it can be overwhelming. It can be like, oh, can I get this all done? Am I going to achieve everything that I need to achieve and still schedule me? That's important. We've got to schedule. Do you hear that choo-choo in the train in the background, by the way? It's loud. All right, so I'm going to.
So while Carol Sue mutes herself, and I did not do that, by the way, and sometimes we always joke and laugh about that. It's so true. The triumphs that happen in our lives, in our daily schedule, excuse me, some things happened yesterday that, and they weren't any big things, but, it does deviate from the pattern. So having an established pattern or goals or your daily schedule is really important to get up from those pivots, get up from those divots and think, how can you really, how can you really go forward without deviating from the pattern? For instance, me yesterday, I started, after I worked, I started the process of spring cleaning early. And normally I don't do that till like the end of April, probably into May. But I have a lot I want to accomplish. So I know in order for me to be on schedule, I got to start a little sooner. Well, that turned into different ideas, which turned into more different ideas. So now let's just say it gets a little messier before it gets cleaner, but that's okay. I just went through a pile of ties that my husband has. Gary only wears ties to weddings. Yeah, he said, hey, what's this pile of these ties doing here? Some of these ties I like. And I'm like, well, most of them I don't like. So guess what? I'm the one who's going to go through them. But, so those little things pop up. So how are you going to, and that was a big win. That was a big triumph for me because I have a whole stack of ugly ties. They really are ugly. I would donate them, but they're ugly.
Oh, jeepers. I actually came in the car because I'm at Pickle U, and this is one long ass train. I'm not going to lie. It's still going on. So I said, you know what? At least he's not tooting his horn or whatever. But, so I went in the car and actually just finished going by. It's kind of loud. And, there's a triumph there. I mean, we are showing authentically us when we're broadcasting live that, things interfere with what we're doing. So what do? You've got to pivot. And that's a triumph. You say, okay, quick, think quick, and a lot of people often actually send us messages, guests that we've had and or some of our listeners, like, sometimes you guys really adapt. Like you got things going on, like a cell phone falls, you got a poor connection, you've got loud noises, and yet you still manage. And that's part of really sharing with all entrepreneurs that, if you're passionate about your message that you want to share with others, that you want to help and show them you can do it. This is part of, the journey that you have to kind of, pivot and divot depending on the circumstances. We are not in a professional studio. We're just sharing authentically us, our passion, and helping you realize that you can achieve your goals and you should celebrate them and celebrate your triumphs. So yeah, it was a pretty loud ass train. So I'm in the car I go, and that is okay. It's not super, super hot here yet, so I don't mind doing that. But yeah, we talk about triumphs and why do you celebrate them? And I truly believe people get too caught up in what the triumph and or the goal has to be. Now, for some people, the goal could be as little, for some people thinking of it as little, but it could be a huge goal for somebody being able to physically get out of bed and make their bed. Maybe they suffer from an autoimmune or some other physical ailment that keeps them, I don't want to say trapped, because I'm sure some people do feel that way, but unable some days to get out of bed. So for them to actually triumph, maybe to take that shower, maybe to make their bed, maybe them to actually go outdoors, maybe even to go to the grocery store. So those are triumphs. And I think we overlook the little ones, and we really need to focus on them more and be more intentional with celebrating the small wins, because, it's kind of that good feeling, like you feel like you've got a few wins under your belt. That gives you the courage and that success factor that, okay, well, maybe let me try something a little bit harder. So let's maybe talk about a workout. Maybe you decide, you know what, today's the day that I know I'm going to put my health and wellness first. So maybe I'm going to go out for that walk. I'm not going to do a power walk, but I'm just going to go out and get that walk in. Maybe just 15 minutes today, but maybe tomorrow I'll get in 30. These are the little stepping stones, don't you think, Jan, that really pivot into a healthier way of living, but also celebrating those small wins really fuel the fire for the bigger ones, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. The small wins are technically the great wins for the foundation to continue on a healthy journey, whatever that healthy journey may be. Or maybe it's not specifically related to your health, but it's related to perhaps different goals that you have in mind or want to achieve. And how do you set the tone and go forward? Because a lot of times that is foreign in nature, meaning, okay, I have this goal to read this book by the end of the week. So for instance, if you want to read a 300-page book by the end of the week, well, you kind of have to look at it in a mathematical sense. Okay, there's so many pages I have to read per day. Now, maybe one day, because you're so into it, that you read more than what you should have. Boom, right there. That's a win. That's a triumph. So it doesn't have to be this huge global, I have to conquer the world today. And, I was just mentioning that, I started my spring cleaning thing early. As much as I would have loved to complete it yesterday, let's be realistic. It's going to take me probably quite a few days to really organize and make sure that things are in an orderly type of fashion, because Lord knows that my better half or the other half, I've got to be a couple steps ahead of that. So that's going, when I'm done with that, that is a monument. I was just talking in smaller segments, but that is a monumental task. But I'm going to take each task that I want to achieve each day as a win.
And it's a great mindset to always think that we're winners, because we are. And I don't think we celebrate that. I think a lot of people feel, oh, it's conceited if I celebrate myself, or, that makes me sound very arrogant. It does not. It actually fuels the fire for you to be more postured in your belief that you can, I am, I will, I won't quit. And it is a necessary emotion that you have to instill in yourself to pat yourself on the back. I think more women, more so than men, have a more difficult time doing that, because of that perception that it's not, you really shouldn't celebrate yourself. That's so conceited. It is not. You need that, because at the end of the day, regardless of getting that great mindset, which is a positive thing, and we need that, you're the one that's being accountable to you. And you know where it is? It stems from here, the mindset. So while people may be cheering you on, or other people may be trying to pivot you away from doing what you're doing, at the end of the day, you answer to yourself, to the Almighty, if that's what you believe, but you answer to yourself. So why not have that conversation with the person in the mirror, and that reflection to say, I can, I will, I am, I will achieve, I will be successful. You put it out in the universe, and you put it in small doses, and you break it down so it's not so monumental that it's unachievable. There's something to say about setting yourself up for success with a very positive mindset, but also giving those different layers of different tasks that you're going to be able to check off. And who doesn't like checking off something off a box? I completed, I did it. At the end of the day, it was my sweat, my workout, my mindset. Don't you think?
Oh, yes, it truly is. And that's where, I love the pen to paper kind of check off the list, even though, we all have our digital things and they are great. They are fantastic. But there's always something special about putting those tasks on paper and then putting a big check by it. The other thing that I want to chat about, which I think is really important to triumphs, is, I had my day all set today. Now, the old Janice, because I couldn't make it to kickboxing, I would have, oh my God, I didn't make it. I'm such a failure. And I think that's really an important aspect to talk about, is not to talk about yourself negatively when something like that happens. I know that it's very easy to do. And I just admitted that the old me would have definitely done that, even though I know that I had this horrendous headache. I don't want you to take your daily tasks, and if for some reason you can't complete them, rule number one, you must always be gentle and kind to yourself. Never, ever berate yourself for something that, that little task or whatever it was that you have to put forward to the next day. Don't ever do that, because that really kind of is a snowball effect.
It is. And it's also good to add it to what you have to do tomorrow. We try to have that mindset that we are going to complete everything on our task list daily, whether it's, appointments, whether it's, cleaning out that closet, getting that workout in, trying a new recipe, eating healthier. Sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves that, and part of the problem, I think, with that is because of social media. Social media has the ability to make everyone look pretty, perfectly, perfectionately monumental, right? You scroll on whatever social medias that you're using. Oh, like she's got it all together. He's got it all together. Look at that perfect family. They look like Barbie and Ken. They, have the perfect bodies. Look at their skin. Where do they shop? And it goes on and on and on. How many of you can relate to that? Of course you can. We all can relate to that. It's human nature to think that the grass is greener on the other side or someone has it better than you. Focus on yourself and remember that social media in its entirety, depending on how people want to be authentically them or put a facade of what their lives are about. And I think what's relatable is the struggle, because most people do struggle to get their day going, to have that great mindset, to pat themselves on the back when they do a good job, to juggle being a parent, a teacher, in this day and age, if for those that are still have children at home that are remotely learning, we're a balancing act. All human beings are a balancing act. And I think when you realize that as much as you feel like, I don't have it together, they don't have it all together too. When you look at a lot of influencers, they have a team of people. We got somebody doing their makeup, their hair, they've got the house cleaner, they might have the nanny, they've got all these different assistants, making their lives perfectly perfect. But when it really came to light was in the height of the pandemic, and yes, that's what I call it, the height of the pandemic, when you realize that there was a lot of news reporters and professionals that could not be on air. And they were on air, but they were on air at home. So they didn't have necessarily the lighting crew, the makeup crew, the fashion crew, putting them all together. And you really saw a lot of them, more so than not, struggling. Now, it's not a question of broadcasting them in a negative way, but it really showed them that, without the studio and all that comes with that they struggled, and that made them more relatable to the average person. And for them, it was probably harder than the viewer to watch it, I think. And to me, what it showed is that the facade of whatever is going on in someone else's life does not impact or should not impact your life. That, oh, I got to step up my game. Focus on yourself, focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. And for those things that you may not have felt you got that triumph over, guess what? Do it again tomorrow.
So true. And, it goes to show you that in the face of adversity, some amazing things can happen. Now, I would have loved to spend the morning in bed, trust me, the way my neck and head feels right now, but I'm going to share with everyone. I'm still in my pajamas. I just threw a sweater over this, washed my face real quick, and threw a sweater on. But it's really to show you how you can share something that you're passionate about, maybe not feel your best, where I would never ever think of getting on camera, much less, on video, and, put myself out there. And obviously I have no makeup on. And the funny thing about makeup, I would always, before maybe taking photographs or even think about getting on video, I would always have makeup on. And then I had the issue with my eyes, so I couldn't wear makeup. And I was mortified sometimes looking at the video afterward But what I found was, again, I wanted to show, and it really didn't occur to me till I had looked back at it one day. Excuse me. I wanted to show how authentic you can be with maybe not feeling, or maybe really kind of not looking at the fact that I wasn't put together the way I normally would want myself to be. But I proceeded. That right there was triumph, because we wanted to show, we always want to show our authenticity about, if you're passionate about something, you can go out there and share it with everybody around the world. You can go on, start, excuse me, start your own podcast. What does that show? That shows that you can show up authentically, not only for yourself, but the people that you want to impact. You don't have to have everything fancy. You don't have to have the makeup on. I did put a little lip gloss on. I do love my lip gloss, but there you go. And as long as my hair is somewhat presentable, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, usually for me, it's some lip color, and my foundation is, that's probably the only, if someone was to say what was one thing that you had to put on for makeup, like you, I'm gonna play pickleball. I'm not gonna be all made up and duded up, but I always do put foundation on, because obviously it protects your skin from the chemicals and things that are in our air, and also it's got the SPF. So I want to protect my face. Throw on some lip gloss and go. That's my go-to. And I think as you get into a different generation, as you get older, you realize part of being authentically you is doing you're comfortable. So God, if you're comfortable getting all made up, go for it. But if you don't have time for it, and you know what, it's not really that important to you, don't do it either. Like, do what's comfortable for you. Always be authentically you, whatever that may be. And guess what? That's something to triumph over. So with that, we want you to enjoy your Triumph Tuesday. Pat yourself on the back, regardless of the size of the win. If the wind is you actually making dinner tonight and you haven't made dinner in a while, that's a win. If you decided, you know what, my kid's still in remote learning, but we're going to end the day a little bit early so I can make sure that we have some good playtime together, that's a win for you. If you got out of bed today and you decided, I'm going to make my bed, that's a win. Celebrate your wins. And with that, this is Carol Sue, aka Naughty Boss, Lady Canna, with Two
Sisters. And hey, just one more thought. If you take something out of the freezer for dinner before 4 o'clock, that's a win. Guilty. On that note, my name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0. We will see you tomorrow for Wellness Wednesday at 9 a.m. with our guest. See you then. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.